So let me ask you something. If you had a stockbroker and you gave them a bunch of your money to work with, and they're working with your money and they weren't really getting you a fair return on your money, I mean, like, they're actually losing money for you and the return on investment isn't there. Would you keep that stockbroker? I mean, would you keep letting them lose money for you? I would think not. And that happens in your used car department quite often. We're really not making any money. We're making a little bit of gross. That's how we pay the bills. Yeah, I got that, but we're not really making any money. It's kind of interesting. When I first became a used car manager back a very long time ago, I'd been a salesman for like 11 months. It made me a used car manager. And I was determined to run that department as if it was my own, run that part of the dealership as if it was my own. And I often made what I thought was good decisions, like not fixing something for a customer on a car we'd already sold, and they'd have a problem, and I'd say, no, we're not doing that, because I thought, in my head, I'm thinking I'm spending my money, so I'm not giving away my money. I'm not going to give away the dealership's money. Now that was well before CSI was ever a part of the equation. So it's pretty stupid back then. I may still be stupid, but the point is, we weren't really thinking about that type of thing and return on investment back in the good old days. And today, even today, the problem is we often are not paying any attention to return on investment. There's no conversation about it. Look, in terms of used cars, we should be thinking about about it in that way. But new cars is no different. It doesn't matter if you have all your cars, new and used, they're in cash, or if you're floor planned or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's still money. It's a lot of money tied up. And we as members of the management team, and I say we as members of the management team, I'm talking about the entire management team, has to be conscious of the fact that there's a lot of money at risk, and we need to make sure we're getting a good return on investment. Now, when you calculate return on investment, there's three numbers that go into it. How much money did you have in the car? How long did you have the car? And how much front gross did you make? Now, the sweet spot we're trying to get to when we use front gross only is 110% and north. If you wanted to throw F&I in, which that is not the standard, but if you wanted to calculate that in your calculation, then your return on investment would need to be a whole lot more. Now, let me show you this. I'm going to go to my website here, fixroi.com, and it'll be able to show you the math. This won't take but a second, but let's take a quick peek at the math. Take a quick peek at the math and see how the math ROI is. You can go to fixroi.com. That's fixroi.com. Or you can go to my website, TommyGibbsTraining.com, and if you go up here, there's a button that says ROI Calculator. It's that simple. And you're just going to put the three numbers in I've already talked about. Those three numbers, when you put them in, you do not need commas or decimal points. So let's just say we have a car and we make $2,000 on that car, and we've got $25,000 tied up in that car. And let's say that you achieve that, and let's say you did it in 45 days. And if you could sell a car at 45 days and make $2,000, I'd say that would be pretty acceptable for most of us. But when you push the button, the ROI is only 64%, and it really should be 110%. Now, on that same car, let's just say, had we sold that car, I don't know, let's just go for 20 days. What would it be in 20 days? It's 146%, and the ROI that we're trying to get to is 110, so we achieve that. Let's just move the days up a little bit and see what happens. At 25 days, what happens? We're still at the sweet spot at 25. Now, what I'm saying to you, you already know to be true. You're better off to make that $2,000. But oftentimes, this car here is priced, it's overpriced. We hang on to it and we hang on to it. And in the end, it really doesn't make any money. Now, let me just give you one more little extreme here. If we have a car that we've got, let's say, $45,000 in, and God bless you if you can make that kind of money at 45 days on a $45,000 car, good for you. But the ROI really goes in the tank. So again, the message here is, the more expensive the car, the bigger the problem you're going to have. Even if on that car, if we'd have sold that car, let's say in 20 days, let's see what would have happened. It still wouldn't have been a good return because we have so much money tied up in the car. So even at 20 days and making $2,000, we really didn't make any money there. So you can see that the more money you have tied up in the car, the more struggle you will have to make a decent return on investment. You would think the more money you have in a car, the more money you would make and the greater the ROI would be, but it doesn't really work out that way. So there's two things that you really have to have you and your team really conscious of. How many days have you owned that car, and how much money you have tied up in it? Far too often we let cars go on and on and on. They're 60 days, 75 days, 90 days. I see dealers with inventory that's over 200 days old. They'll have a high percentage of their inventory that's way up there, well over 60. They'll have 50 or 60% of their inventory that's well over 60 days old. They're not going to make any money that way. Look, again, let me ask you something. If your stockbroker was performing the way your used car department is performing, you'd fire the stockbroker. I'm not necessarily saying that you should fire your used car manager. Matter of fact, it isn't the used car manager's fault if that's going on. I talk about this all the time. If you've got aged inventory and you're the dealer or the GM, if you've got aged inventory, it is not your used car manager's problem. It's your problem. You're the one that let it happen. Fire your stockbroker. I'm Tommy Gibbs. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. See you. Bye.